The Entrepreneurial Hour is a weekly radio talk show hosted by Stephanie Cates and Robert Gultz that includes local South Florida business owners, subject matter experts, and industry leaders that recognize the need to share their knowledge with other businesses to help them start and grow their business. Join us Tuesday mornings, 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, online at Radio Unilatina USA. Follow us on social media at #The Entrepreneurial Hour.
And we are back for another week of the Entrepreneur Hour. I'm your host, Robert Goltz, from the Miramar Pembroke Pines Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Weston Florida Chamber of Commerce, and the Pembroke Park West Park Chamber of Commerce. My colleague is out today, and we're wishing her well today. Stephanie Cates should be back with us in the upcoming weeks. Today, we've got a great topic. We're going to be talking about insurance in business and why you should have it, and what is good insurance, what is bad insurance in that process. And we're going to cover a lot of information with two beautiful ladies that have joined me in the studio today. Miss Janet Acosta Fernandez with U.S. Health and Chrissy Trotta with Synergy Insurance Group. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
How are you for having us?
They're going to be a little bit shy, folks. I can tell already. So today we're going to talk about insurance, and I guess what we want to do in this first segment is talk about just some basics of business with insurance, because so many people are going into business nowadays. It seems to be a growing market, thank God. It keeps me employed and keeps other people like yourself employed. But let's talk about some basics. Let's start off with the basics in this first half about what type of insurance, and if Chrissy, I'll start off with you. What type of insurance should a business be looking for that it's just starting up?
Pretty much liability. Every insurance should have liability insurance, as well as commercial, maybe professional, or business vehicle. If they have a vehicle for the business, it should definitely have business vehicle insurance. And workers' comp, all depending on how many employees they have. That's definitely something that every business should carry.
Okay. Let's talk, go over here to you, Janet.
For health? Yeah. So for health insurance, for businesses, basically, it depends on the size of the business. So when are you required to have health insurance? It's really when you hit like that 50 mark number, where you have 50 full-time employees or more. And full-time generally is you're working 30 hours or more. And then that's when you're required to.
So that's required by the new... ACA law.
Right.
And then for a small business on health insurance, so what are we talking about there? Is there a basic, because things have changed over recently here in the States with insurance and what those minimums are.
Correct. So really, when you're under that number, and a lot of times we do advise just to check with your accountant, because you could have some that are part-time, full-times, and and you're kind of getting close to that number. But it's when you have less than I would say 25 employees, it's just smart to have it, because the more small businesses that are offering it, you're more competitive, your employees are happy. That's like the number one thing they look for in benefits is health insurance.
Okay, excellent. So as we're let's start off, I'm going to start off with you, Chrissy, in some of these questions. You had talked about a little bit about liability to start off with. And then you also talked about a difference in liability. I know we have commercial and general liability, but you also talked about professional liability. Can you tell us a little about the differences between some of those types of insurance? Not that I don't need the details, but why you would get a professional insurance compared to a general liability. What triggers these other types of insurance to be
I'm going to tell you just a little bit about the differences so you can understand why you would want one over the other. Liability insurance protects you in the event your business gets sued for negligence. It also covers damages to the properties. So that's why a lot of people, or every business, should really carry liability. And then professional liability is also known as E&O, which is errors and omissions. And that protects you from claims of negligence related to the service you offer. So like doctors, lawyers, any kind of a business, like an auto shop, stuff like that, should definitely want to carry that.
Okay, so for me, I'll use my consulting business in there. I have my general liability or my commercial liability to cover my office space, when I'm going out and speaking and fall and I crack my knee or something of that nature. And then my professional one would be if I say, hey, this is a known fact and it didn't become a fact, or in something like that would be errors and omissions. Am I reading that correctly a little bit, or no?
No, it's more of a service they provide.
Okay,
so like a doctor. So like if he does surgery on you or something like that, things like that.
Okay, so when the doctor forgets to take the scalpel out of me, that would be errors and omissions.
Right.
Or so like I need to ask you a personal question on that for this one then. So when the psychiatrist got in my head and still in there telling me stuff, can I sue him for that still?
That might be a personal problem.
That's a personal problem. Okay. Just wanted to check. So when we're talking about insurance also, a lot of people, especially consultants and people that are running out of their home now, don't get general liability. They think that they don't need it because they're working out of their house. However, if they're working out of their house, they still fall underneath the same business obligations, do they not?
They should definitely at least have liability insurance, because I'm sure if they're running something out of their garage or something, people are coming in and out. Even if it's somebody coming to pick up something, if they slip and fall or something, you want to at least, because your homeowner's insurance, that's totally different. But if you're running a business out of your house, you definitely should also have a business, open a corporation, and at least carry liability. Okay,
so if I was a business, we'll just cut off this one. Which insurances do I absolutely need to have? I know if I have employees, I have to have workman's comp.
All depending on how many employees you have. Absolutely. And that ranges on any type of business. It could range, it's very different. All depending on the kind of business you have, it's the workers' comp that you would need. Definitely liability.
Okay.
Absolutely. That is the number one thing that every business should have for your safety.
And those are the two major ones that we want to get into. We'll get into some others as we go through the program today, but those are the two major ones that for our listeners, if they're starting up a brand new business right now and they needed to talk to an insurance agent, those are the two things, depending on the number of employees they have, need to talk about is liability right off the bat. Make sure you get that taken care of. And then if you have employees, your workman's comp.
And if they have a company car, business vehicle.
They have a company car.
All depending on. Okay. Absolutely. Yes.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about the health aspect, because a lot of small business owners right now don't have health insurance. Underneath the ACA, we're supposed to have health insurance or we get the penalty at the end of the year.
Which, as of 2019... the individual mandate is
The individual mandate is gone, so I have no... Okay. In all disclosure, I have no personal insurance. I have no health insurance for me or my family. I know you guys are like, shaking your head. I really never have, and I've always paid out of pocket, and I've always found it cheaper to pay out of pocket. However, I'm at the age now that I need to start looking for catastrophic issues, and so I am changing my ways. I have all your insurance, Chrissy. I have way too much insurance on that side, which we'll talk about later because I need to look at some things too. So health insurance. Let's talk a little bit about what is the minimum right now in health insurance that an individual can get.
Well, really, when you go in the marketplace, they kind of categorize it like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and bronze would be the minimum.
Okay.
And usually what's the difference in the levels? It's going to be costs, you're paying monthly in your premium, and usually the lower costs, then the higher deductible you have. So, and of course, any of the plans in the marketplace are going to cover for exactly what you said, catastrophic, just major medical, which is...
So let's go. I guess I'm going to have to go into the age bracket aspect a little bit. For someone in their 20s, early 30s, would they be a good candidate for a bronze maybe? Because I know that was the big issue with the ACA when it came out, was that those in the 20 age and 30 were not getting insurance at all, and because they didn't need insurance. And so when we created ACA and all this, bronze came about, and I know a lot of people said, well, I don't need insurance, which we all really do need insurance. You never know when that catastrophic really is going to hit. Some of us just roll the dice on a regular basis with their lives. But having that aspect with that bronze, I know a lot of business owners wonder which way they should go with their insurance. And so I know some people have always gone to that bronze going, hey, it's the lowest piece. But for a business owner, any little thing could put them out of business.
Usually silver is what we'll recommend.
Okay.
Again, bronze, usually when I see people getting that, it's just strictly based on budget. They're like, that's just what I can afford, because then my other alternative is no insurance. So if that's the case, well then at least have something. But at least with the silver, then your deductibles, you're not going to be like, oh my God, when you're out of pocket expenses, it's just more reasonable. But what a lot of times people don't consider, and a lot of my 1099, my entrepreneurs, is just also looking at the private side, not just the ACA plans that are out there. There's also private insurance that a lot of times you do have to qualify medically, but if you're reasonably healthy, you really don't go to the doctor a lot, then these plans sometimes can give you better coverage for less than what you get on the marketplace. You just do have to qualify.
And one major injury could put somebody out a lot, even with the bronze program.
Absolutely.
It could wipe you out financially, which will wipe out your business also. And that's the same reason why we want to have the liability insurance. It only takes one accident, one trip and fall to happen, and it wipes you out as a business if you don't have that insurance.
Absolutely. And actually a lot of people don't know, and a lot of my entrepreneurs love this too, is accident, like just supplemental insurance just for accident. Over 90% of claims are accidents, and sometimes just even if you have, like, let's say a bronze, because that's what you can afford, you can add usually an accident supplemental coverage for very minimal, a month. It'll cover your entire family, and it'll give you some money to pay towards the deductibles if it is an accident, and over 90% of claims are accidents. So it's just something to consider.
So in your guys' industry, you guys are very regulated, and it's funny, most people don't realize that, and they'll go with one insurance provider and just stay with that one insurance provider and never question anything. But a lot of times what I find in the insurance agents that I've dealt with, I choose my insurance agent based on my relationship with them. Because a lot of people, and I know you probably both do like those people that just keep paying. I like that. I like our members that just keep paying without questioning me. But I know with my insurance, I'll use my vehicle insurance, we see a lot of when I get it, it's because I have a relationship with that person. I could go shopping and get maybe a couple bucks saved and skimmed here and there, but I want someone that is also going to return my phone call when I do get into that accident, or I have a question of how to do a claim. And so right now we're going to just take a break, but I want to talk a little bit about that, about the importance of having that, and what kind of things those relationships sometimes bring into the aspect of getting your insurance and finding the best insurance for you. But right now we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes with the Entrepreneurial Hour.
The Entrepreneurial Hour with Stephanie Cates and Robert Goltz.
Latina International College, with a campus in Miramar, Florida, is a boutique college with an applied, cutting-edge holistic education model. Business, tourism, and communication students not only develop their field intellectual skills, but also are empowered to become holistic professionals through yoga, self-empowerment, Tai Chi courses, and more. Sign up to become a holistic professional at unilatina.edu or call 954-607-4344.
The Entrepreneurial Hour, shining light on the Tri-Chamber members.
And we're back with the Entrepreneur Hour. I'm your host, Robert Goltz. We are talking about insurance today, and we ended the last segment about talking about the importance about having a relationship with your insurance provider. And one of the things that I know is becoming really prevalent in all industries is buying online and going through the phone aspect and not knowing anything about that. And Christy, we'll start with you regarding the ins and outs of why it's important to have a relationship and what you kind of get when you are doing it online and some of the pitfalls there. So we'll start off with you on that.
Buying online is very impersonal, I think, and you don't know everything that you're buying. And also, once they run everything, that quote you get online is really, truly not the correct quote. Like, you need to really talk to somebody, build a relationship. You want to know, like, what you're buying, what coverages you have, if you have any existing claims, anything like that. And all that isn't online. It's just like a quick quote. It's just a guesstimate. So I like to meet with my customers. I like to talk to them. We are available. I'm available all the time, like nights and weekends. If my customer calls, if I don't answer, I always call them back within a certain amount of time. So building a relationship is the key, and educating my customer to let them know what coverages they have. If this happens, let you know you're covered for this, or this is it, you're paying this much more, but this is how much coverage you have. So really, education is the key, and a relationship. And a lot of my business is word of mouth.
And I found when I was, I'll even use getting my car insurance. I used to do it online, and I ended up finding a gentleman that I had built a relationship with through the chamber, and he said, "Hey, just let me quote you." I said, "Okay." And so we pulled out what I had originally, and he started talking to me. He says, "I know you travel a lot. Do you rent cars a lot?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Do you know that underneath this basic system that you got the," and I did. I was cheap at the time, and I got whatever I just needed. He says, "You're not covered when you rent a car." And I go, "Well, I usually buy their insurance." And he's like, "Do you do it a lot?" I go, "Well, yeah, I travel a lot, so I rent a car maybe 20 times a year." And he's like, "You know how much money you're spending on their insurance compared to you just having it into your insurance?" And just different things like that for car auto crash, that so many people will buy the very basic auto, even a commercial auto, and then their car goes down, and that is the piece that they need to run their business. So in building a relationship, even probably with your limited liability, it's about asking questions of, what does your facility look like? Where the ins and outs? And so my guess is there's a lot more questions than just filling out and calling somebody saying, "I need liability insurance today for my business."
Right. And talking about that, like a business liability, like, if you have vehicles and you own businesses and you own several properties, you want to make sure you have the correct coverage. You want to make sure you want an umbrella policy. So there's a lot of different things. So when you have auto basic, you need coverage of like $250,000, $500,000, and then you could get an umbrella policy. So there's a lot of different things. And if you go on the computer to get a quote, they don't ask you all those questions. And if they don't know about you, you could have the incorrect coverage, and God forbid something does happen, they could come and sue you. So you always want to make sure you are covered correctly. And I know that insurance agents ask a lot of questions, but we only ask for the safety of our customers. And that's why it's so important to have those personal relationships, because sometimes they even know the questions asked that you wouldn't even think about, that you never put into that computer system. I know with the chamber, as we've been growing over the last couple of years, we added on 2 more chambers. We're all under the same corporation. They're just DBAs, but I have to get insurance to cover those DBAs. So when I'm at the Weston, Florida Chamber of Commerce, while it's us doing all the work and everything, my Miramar Pembroke Pines, because it says Miramar Pembroke Pines, doesn't cover unless I paid for an extra piece to add on these extra organizations. And sometimes in business, we do all these DBA names and things of that nature. We need to talk to our insurance people to say, hey, these are all the details of my business.
these are things, because the last thing I want to do, and I'm doing this with my business right now, when I go speak, depending on where I'm at in my with my company, sometimes I'm doing entertainment underneath my entertainment name, Bobby G, and there's other times I'm doing public speaking under Robert Goltz. And I had to have put on my insurance to make sure I'm covered underneath both names, because my speaking is a different type of insurance than my entertainment insurance, and so I had to watch that. So in healthcare, let's talk about healthcare in the same aspect, and having that personal relationship, that helps. That would also help in trying to figure out the best insurance. And sometimes, folks, this is something that you need to realize. A lot of times, it's not that these individuals, these professionals in the industry, want to get into all your personal stuff. It's a matter, how do they best serve you? And you just leaving out one little thing like, oh yeah, last year I got tested for diabetes, and yeah, it was tested positive, but I didn't go back and I didn't take any medications. Well, no, you've been tested. And
yeah,
and let's talk a little about that.
Diabetes. Yes. So, what it's huge for me is, like Chrissy was mentioning, is just that personal relationships that I've built with my clientele, and really I consider myself an advisor. So they all have my cell phone, and whether it's when they need to fill out a claim, something happened, especially for accidents, could be really tricky, and there's extra coverage there that we can help them with. Anything that happens, I'm like, just as soon as you get a bill, send it to me, and I help them. I review it and help them, assist them with that. But from the start, what I do with my clients is I'll do a plan review. I'll get either, if it's not in person, we'll at least do like a join.me, so we're online, and I'll show them the different plans are available. And a lot of people don't understand deductible and copays and max out of pocket. It's just educating them and helping them feel comfortable. Well, if something did happen, this is how much it'd be out in this kind of plan versus this. And once they really get to understand the plans, you be surprised. Some people are like, well, you know what, I'd rather pay a little more and get this much coverage. Before, I just didn't know. I just didn't know what to get. And insurance is just so confusing. At least before I got into this, I was like, I didn't even know. I was like, how do people do it without online? I don't know, without an agent.
Well, what would surprise me, just to ask our listeners, how many of our listeners have the contact person that sold them their insurance on their phone? Because I know most probably do not. Right. They have probably not even in their phone. They probably just have it put in their file cabinet at home, the insurance coverage that they have, and going, hey, I'll never use that. But again, sometimes having that person, it's kind of nice to be able to bring up something. If something's going on with somebody that you have a relationship with, that gets to know. It's really about, in business, building your team, your own personal team, almost like a board of directors for certain things for your business. Making sure that, hey, I've got this question, or hey, I'm going to go out and do an event. I wonder if I'm covered for that. And maybe I should give Chrissy a call and say, hey, I'm doing this event at this location. Does my insurance cover that, or do I need to do an add-on for it, or do I need to change that? Because I don't want to be liable. Because again, in today's world, folks, you don't get insurance only if you get hurt. You also get insurance for those people that like to sue you.
That's right.
And sometimes it's not about, oh, all these people are my friends. Yeah. Let me tell you, I see many court cases and things go awry, and it's people that are family members and good friends that end up suing people, probably more so than the general public. And it's something you want to watch for. And having a personal relationship and bringing that person in, whoever that insurance provider is, into what I call your core boardroom for business is great, because then you have somebody, and when you actually deal with the company that you do the insurance with, if you're just dealing with the company, they don't have a relationship with you. That isn't important right away, is it, Chrissy? They've got thousands of customers, and your phone call is not priority when I'm calling the overall company.
Absolutely. And then also, like as an agent, our office, Synergy Insurance, we're there for our customers. So if you call and there's a problem, we're there for you. We're not going to, we're going to help you settle it. It may take a little bit of time, but we're going to figure it out. There's a solution for everything. We're not going to just send you, call the 800 number and let them help you. No, we're your agent. Our office is there to help every one of our customers. We will help you. We will not stop till we do help you. And we're available. Like, I'm available, even if it's a question and you're not with me. You don't write with Synergy Insurance. You're with another agent. If you have a question, I would be glad to help or answer it. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find it out and I'll call you back. And you don't necessarily have to have an insurance policy with me, but I would love to always have a friendship and always help and support everybody.
And the benefit is that you also talk the language of the insurance provider. So I get on the phone with somebody, I'm just going, hey, I got a boo-boo. Well, what's that mean, sir? It's a boo-boo. It's red, and there's a little bone sticking out of it, but it's a boo-boo. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Well, am I covered? I don't know, sir, because I don't know what it is. My insurance provider can say, hey, you know what? No, he's in the hospital. This is really what's going on.
Right.
And this is why he needs to utilize his insurance. And that's where, again, in the business life, as a business owner, you want to be the professional in your business, the know-it-all for what you do. That's what you guys provide.
That's right.
And unfortunately, if I'm using the internet or just using a phone to set that up, I'm not getting the best of the best. If I use somebody that I personally know, and I'm not saying that you have to do dinner and lunch with them every week, but I have somebody that I can talk to and have that phone call with. So this is just so important. Let's see. We got a couple more minutes, so let's add in into this discussion and get prepped for what I want to do in the next 15 minutes when we come back is I want to talk about hurricane. We are in that season right now. We've got 3 to 4 hurricanes surrounding us, which I'm pretty peaceful about it because it seems it's going everywhere but us for a change. And I want to talk a little bit during that part about the insurances that you want to make sure that you have in place. And also things that you may want to look at adding on to your health insurance during that. And I want to talk, and so I want to go into that. I want to talk about travel in that aspect too, because that is a big question on insurance is, hey, I live here in Miami, but I got to travel up to Michigan because a hurricane's hitting here. What do I need to be prepared for with my insurance in traveling across state lines? And is there things that I need to be prepared for, that there might be some insurances that as a business owner I may be missing in that process? So we are just about ready to take that break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with the Entrepreneur Hour.
Unilatina International College with campus in Miramar, Florida is a boutique college with an applied, cutting-edge, holistic education model. Business, tourism, and communication students not only develop their field intellectual skills, but are also empowered to become holistic professionals and human beings through yoga, self-empowerment, holistic human development courses, and more. Sign up to become a holistic professional at unilatina.edu or call 954-607-4344.
Hey Maria, congrats on graduating. Must feel good to be done with school.
Yeah, well it is, but I still have to pass the NCLEX test in order to get a job.
Okay, well, is the test difficult?
Extremely, and I've already taken it 3 times and still can't pass it.
What seems to be your major issue with the test?
I don't know, maybe I don't have the right training, or I don't really understand how to study for the test. And I really want to start working as a nurse. It's so frustrating.
Unilatina International College is now offering a comprehensive NCLEX RN prep course guided by expert trainer Dr. Juan Carlos Ramirez. Finally achieve success and start your nursing career today. Learn more at unilatina.edu.
The Entrepreneurial Hour with Stephanie Cates and Robert
Unilatina
Goltz.
International College with campus in Miramar, Florida is a boutique college with focus on entrepreneurship. UIC offers associate and bachelor degree programs in business, tourism, and communications and media. Associate degree students develop their business plan while studying at UIC. Dream, learn, and grow. Join now our business incubator.
Learn more at unilatina.edu or call 954-607-4344.
And we're back with the Entrepreneur Hour. My name is Robert Goltz. We're still talking about insurance, which is great. And we're going to talk about hurricanes because as of right now, we have 3 barreling through the Atlantic on their way to hit something. We just don't know what. As long as it's not us, we're fine. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. But Chrissy, we'll start with you. Let's talk a little bit about some of the types of insurance that, I would say just in South Florida, but you know what? There's so many areas that do get hit by these hurricanes. What kind of insurance should we be looking at, making sure that we have in place before a hurricane hits? Because, there's a point in time you just can't buy it when it's coming.
Well, for a business, you want to also, liability and all that, like I was saying, whether you're in a flood zone or not, we highly recommend you have flood insurance. It's very, very cost effective.
So flood insurance also covers, like, if my windows break in and the water comes pouring in. Is it? I don't know all the intricacies. I'm not going to ask you for every intricacy, but a lot of businesses say, "Oh, I'm not in the flood zone, so it doesn't apply to me." But yet, when the storm comes through, windows break or pipes break, or the river, the river overflowed, and their insurance goes, "No, that wasn't a general liability thing. That was that flood insurance aspect." And they're like going, "Well, I was told I didn't need flood insurance." But if you're on the ground floor for almost anywhere, to me, it's so low cost that flood insurance should be just a common added piece.
Right. Well, floods, you don't just necessarily have to be in a flood zone. So if you're not in a flood zone, it's not required. So it's, correct. It all depends on if you have a mortgage or whether you own the property outright or anything. You don't have to have flood insurance if you are not in a flood zone. We offer it no matter what. I always offer it. Everybody in our office offers it because it's so cost effective. And flood is from the ground up. Like you were saying, if a lake overflows or something comes in from the outside in, that is flood. Homeowner, business and all is from the roof down. Roof, walls, windows is homeowner, business insurance and all that. Yes. So if you're in a flood zone, it is mandatory to have flood insurance. If you're not in a flood zone, it is not, but it is highly recommended, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean,
because an average is what, $450 somewhere right around there?
That's
right?
for home.
For home, okay.
And that's like the high. That's $250,000 dwelling, $100,000 contents. So. That's $450 a year. And it's worth it.
Yeah, and around here, we have water everywhere. Yeah, there's reservoirs and things everywhere. You just never know when one of those things is going to flood. And, we look at last year where it was not funny in the aspect that the shopping mall, Sawgrass was underwater.
That's crazy.
And so I would bet most of those businesses would have never thought, "Oh, I'm ever going to get flooded here because the parking lot's going to take all that water and everything." And yet you're in a foot to 2 foot of water rolling into businesses. Something that you need to look at because you don't know all the, you look around, you have ground around you. You know what? Sometimes if it rains so much, the land cannot absorb the water fast enough, and you have a flooding issue.
That's right.
And so really stress to anyone on ground level, really should be looking at flood insurance, either for residential or for commercial business. So let's talk a little bit about the residential also, because it is a little bit different with the insurance. Florida, to me, I can't imagine, unless you're living on a second floor or above, everybody should pretty much have. Just to remind everybody, especially in South Florida, this ground was all underwater at one point in time.
Absolutely.
And I had one of my friends where did not have flood insurance, but what ended up happening was the pond, that the shared HOA pond, overflowed. And it just happened to go and go into their patio area and did some major damage. It actually went underneath, caused a little bit, and their cause some problems with their floor underneath coming up
because of
from the water and the pressure in that. So definitely something you need to watch about. So let's talk a little bit about on the health side.
Yes.
When we're seeing these storms come through, or actually before, we want to make sure that we're taken care of. So let's talk a little bit of briefly before we got back on. We talked about HMOs and PPOs.
Right, and that's the main difference between the two. Is HMOs, you're really in your state. You can't get coverage outside of the state where you got that policy from. So especially for entrepreneurs that do travel a lot, and you really want to consider looking at a PPO plan where you have coverage anywhere in the U.S.
So you look at that worst case scenario. Hurricane barreling down on you in Florida, and you have an HMO, and you go, okay, I'm going to run up through Georgia and up that way, and all of a sudden, boom, you may get in one of those traffic car accidents and get really injured, or walking out of a hotel and get injured, and all of a sudden you have no insurance to cover you.
Yes.
Because you are out of state. With that HMO.
Scary.
I'm wondering how many of our listeners realize that difference, that they, I don't even know why there's HMOs anymore, because people travel so much. So let's talk a little bit about preparation of a business, and that when you're traveling, getting ready for these things to hit, that it's not insurance. We're not talking about insurance directly, but we have a storm barreling down on us. What should a business do to prepare for that, to really, not in buying insurance, but into really making sure that their investment is at its safest? And Chrissy, I know you were talking a little bit about that during the break, so I'll shoot to you first.
Cover their computers with plastic bags. Absolutely. Make sure everything is unplugged. Take all their insurance, all their business information, all their information that's very important to them for their business and everything like that. Put it in a plastic bag. If they have a safe, put it in a safe, and hope that their safe is water and fireproof as well. Even take copies with you, but definitely put it in Rubbermaids. Make sure everything is off the ground on the desks. And just make sure, like I was saying, everything's unplugged so nothing shorts out, causes a fire, anything like that. And if they have hurricane windows, that's great. If they have shutters or accordions, panels, put them all up. If it's a warehouse, definitely try to put like sandbags in front of like the warehouse doors and stuff, just to prevent any flooding going inside or ruining of anything. It all depends on what kind of business they have. But just be really, really cautious and never second guess. Always just be safe. Even if it takes a little bit more time to prepare, it's worth it. And you can always call and ask if what questions they have, or do they have the right coverage or what they need. But once there's a storm and it's right around the corner, we have to stop writing policies. So at that time, we hope that nothing happens. And also flood, we were talking about before, it is a 30-day wait.
Well, 30-day wait. So
absolutely.
It's not a matter of going at last minute, let's jump on this.
Right.
It's a matter of going, hey, I need to just prepare for it at the beginning of the year and just make this a normal yearly investment.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. One of the things that we've seen in the chamber industry with some of our chambers that have gone through these disasters, one of the issues has been is that they've left, and when they came back, there was nothing there. Everything demolished. And so some of our chambers have said, hey, we've had really good relations, have been able to get things back and up and running in a reasonable amount of time, while others have struggled. And I know it's the same way with businesses. What things should an individual, a business owner, have with them when they leave their property? Should they have your personal phone number? Should they have some of the papers for insurance? I know for us, we pack everything and put everything digitally, so when we're out and we don't have to come back and I can go, oh, I just saw the pictures that my windows got blown out and everything. I can go to my insurance and I go, okay, I know I'm covered. We can start trying to figure out and doing that process. But the other I'll ask the second question afterward. What would be good for people to have ahead of time?
If we are their agent, we have everything. So we have all their information.
So all they need is your phone number.
My phone number.
Okay.
And before they leave, also, I forgot to say this, make sure you take pictures prior.
Okay.
Make sure you take pictures of everything, just so you have them. God forbid something happens. Always take photos. Inside, outside, everywhere. Have photos prior to the storm.
That's so I can't claim that I had this really nice, super deluxe copy machine to be replaced after it's been stolen, or my neighbor took it and borrowed it from me after the storm.
It's better for you. It's an easier transition. At least you know what you had. There's no questions asked. And if, like you said, if everything gets lost or gone, you're like, did I have that? Was that in the office? It's really truly just for you, for the safety of you, your business, and everything like that. And that really our phone number.
Yeah, and doing the photos should only take a couple minutes. You're just walking around your office, snapping off your camera, and you're good to go. And having that information that you need, so you can verify that the things that you're claiming were actually claimed. It's the same thing with your residents. Making sure that you have that information ready to go.
Absolutely. Take a picture of your house, inside, out, front, back, and everything.
Okay. Excellent. Let me see here. Okay, folks, we're going for a little bit of different change. I have to actually go to Stephanie's notes. So let's talk a little bit the next 5 minutes on... let's go back to a different reason, because we've talked about hurricane. Oh, you know what? Before I talk about hurricane, we'll just spend the last minute on disasters here. Office buildings. What kind of things should we be prepared for in an office building? Is there anything special that we should be watching for? I know I have an apartment. I live in an apartment, so I'm always meeting my neighbors right away. I'm like the friendly guy that goes knocking on the door. And the reason why I'm knocking on the door is not because I really care about my neighbor. I just want to get a sense as if they're going to leave the stove on overnight or something like that. Do they have some brain? Are they, or do the cops come and visit them regularly? Is there something I need to watch? Like if a cop's going to visit my neighbor regularly, I want to make sure I take the other bedroom that's far from their wall. I leave my kids on the other side. Let them take the shrapnel. I'll be over on the good side. So
do you mean if you're leaving or if you're staying? So
if you're staying.
Okay, so if you're staying, you want to make sure that you're ready to go. You want to make sure that you have all your supplies, your water. You want to make sure you have food, water, and everything. You want to make sure... do you have batteries? You have light?
How important is it for insurance wise that you have surge protectors on computers and things of that nature? Is that a helpful thing to have those types of things on there for claims and stuff like that?
I would unplug everything. If there's a bad storm out there, I would unplug everything, and even I would cover your computers at home, cover anything like that. Because if a window breaks, hopefully you have storm shutters or, hurricane windows. But even if so, if a window breaks or something happens, at least it's covered. But I would definitely unplug everything.
Okay. Excellent.
Make sure everything is off. Shut off the power. If you have a swimming pool, shut off your swimming pool. Shut off everything.
Okay. And I had one other question, just because we can take this couple minutes for car insurance. We've been promoting that if you're owning a business, that you should put your car, lease a car, and use it for business if that's what you're going to use it for the tax deductions and things of that nature. But the insurance definitely needs to be different than my normal car insurance for me if I'm using it for my business. Am I correct in that, Chrissy?
Well, if you have a business vehicle and the vehicle's under the business name, you have to have business insurance on the car. Yes, it has to be through your business. So, like, God forbid something happens and you get in an accident or something, if it's in your business name, but you're telling them it's, personal, you have to have a business policy on it, which is different, absolutely, for autos. So your personal auto will not cover your business vehicle.
Now, so this is where I see a lot of people make the mistake, is that they're doing some of those smaller businesses, those niche business, Herbalife, Avon, Mary Kay, things of that nature.
With the magnets.
And they have the magnets on their car.
Oh.
Well,
and all of that, wouldn't it be safer for them to have some kind of a commercial insurance? Because if they get in an accident and they're doing business out of that car. So I'll use Herbalife because one of my friends was doing Herbalife, and he used to always have his car packed with supplies and was delivering it.
Right, but that could just be advertising like on his car type of thing. But if the car's in his name and it's, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. More so like if you have a business like...
a plumber?
Like a plumber, exactly, like a plumber or a roofer, and you're driving a company car.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that it's insured through the company, the business, because other people are driving it.
But if it's just a advertising aspect, not as big, I'm just concerned that all of a sudden I get hit and someone's going to go, oh, I'm going to sue his business too because it was a business car, and it would be a little bit safer to go that route.
It all depends. Like I do rhinestone blingy T-shirts for fun, and I do have a small, like a name for a business for it, and I put a magnet on it. But I mean,
that's your personal car, and
my personal car. I mean, I use my car for work, but it is my personal car. It's in my name. It's not in a business name or anything. Right. So I do have my own personal insurance on it.
Okay,
but it's more so for a business like I was saying, like a roofing company.
So if you're carrying supplies, major supplies, and that's your office almost. It's almost like their office, the Comcast guys, and
it's like you're building on wheels, so to speak. Okay. So yes, you should definitely have business vehicle insurance if it is your company on wheels. Okay. Absolutely.
Folks, we're taking our last break before we end our show for today on insurance, but just stay listening to us. We'll be right back.
Unilatina International College with campus in Miramar, Florida is a boutique college with focus on entrepreneurship. UIC offers associate and bachelor degree programs in business, tourism, and communications and media. Associate degree students develop their business plan while studying at UIC. Dream, learn, and grow. Join now our business incubator. Learn more at unilatina.edu or call 954-607-4344.
The Entrepreneurial Hour is sponsored by the Miramar Pembroke Pines Regional Chamber of Commerce, the Weston Florida Chamber of Commerce, and the Pembroke Park West Park Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, we are back. Okay, so this is kind of the segment that I like. I want to hear from both of you either some great stories or horror stories regarding, you don't have to give me their client's name or anything of that nature, but tell me where you've seen insurance, not having the proper insurance hurt one of your clients or somebody else's client that came to you in that aspect, or one of those messes that you helped somebody out of that they probably wouldn't have figured it out themselves. Anyone want to go first?
Well, I'll start. I actually, I had one recently where have a young girl. She has her own business now, and pretty much she's with money. She's all her life she's just saved, made sure she had no student debt, just was really responsible with her finances. And she actually got had an accident, and the type of insurance she was an HMO, but where she ends up in the hospital where she ends up, a lot of the doctors and the services that were rendered were actually they were not covered by this type of plan. And this girl now is like telling me, she's like, I have a $30,000 bill. She's like 27 years old, and she's like, I made sure I always save money, prepared for all this, and yet I didn't have the right type of insurance, and look how it's hurt me. And now she has a PPO plan, and she's she has accident protection and all that, because she's like, it can happen to anyone, and just these things. So,
and that's especially with younger people.
Yeah.
We think we're invincible.
Yeah.
I say that because I still have a young mindset. That we think we're invincible, that that's nothing's ever going to happen to us. We haven't had anything happen, and why would we? Only older people die.
So you need to get insurance.
Exactly. And you need to, for many people, you need to get that insurance and get that taken care of, because, again, one small accident could cost you everything that you have. And it doesn't take that much. She's staring me down here now, folks.
Robert,
I need to stop telling everybody.
You need to practice what you preach, Robert.
I'm preaching for you. That's where we're going with that. That's a great story. That's somebody. Well, sorry for her, but it's a great story overall. That this young person.
Yeah. She was prepared in all these ways for her financial, and now she's like, now I'm slammed with this bill that I did not see coming. Yeah.
Okay. Chris, you got a story for us?
I would say more homeowner type stuff. So I feel, and I have a couple older clients that are amazing, and they brought me over their policy just to look over, and I was like, wow, you're paying a lot. And I went through their whole policy. He said that he hasn't spoken to his agent or talked to anybody in like 4 years. He just keeps getting a bill. And every year it went up, and went up, and went up. And it does happen. But us as an agent, an insurance company, you're supposed to, check your customer's policy if it goes over a certain amount of money. And we shopped him. We were able to save him a couple $1,000s with more coverage, and he was very grateful. And I do feel bad because I try to help everybody, but a lot of the older people, I feel very bad because I feel that they get a lot taken advantage. Right. So I will go out of my way. I go with a couple friends of mine who are also in the chamber with us. I've gone to Century Village and, try to help some of the older people over there. And I just tell people, I'm like, let me help you. Let me look at your policy. Let me just make sure you have the right coverage, or tell, like, hey, did you get an alarm put in? There's a lot of things out there that give you credit for your policies, and people don't even know. And my job is to educate. So I did make a big difference on one of our customers of ours, and I saved him. He's also in the chamber and in our leads group, and I was able to save him a couple $1,000s, and he was very grateful. But it made me feel good because he thought that like nobody ever cared and that he had a great deal, and he had no idea what was going on.
So in that, do you think there's a certain point in time that you should talk to your insurance agent on a regular basis, like every couple years, just to say, hey, here's some things that I may have updated at my house or my business, or that maybe me personally that changed in my life? Do you think that should be a regular routine that most of us should do? Is to keep, especially if we don't have a personal relationship. To me, if you have that personal relationship, it's going to come up anyway. But for I would say the majority people don't have that personal relationship, and especially like these older people probably had hit some of these policies for years. And again, when the policy came up for renewal and the price went up, they said, oh, well, I know, and I'm just signing it over because I've always used XYZ insurance and things of that nature, and not looking at their changes in their life.
Absolutely. And we wouldn't know. So if you got a new roof, unless you tell us, we don't know. You could have got an alarm put in, a new roof. You could have got hurricane panels. You could have got a brand new garage door that was hurricane proof. Those are all things that anytime you do an upgrade or a change, it could help your insurance. It could make your policy go down. It could let you shop for different companies. We don't know unless you tell us. So yeah, every year or so, or if you see it's gone up like $500-600, call your agent. Tell them, say, hey, my policy went up this much. Can you tell me why? And we're supposed to say, well, did you get anything different? Did you get an alarm? Did you get hurricane windows? Have you had any prior claims? Is there anything different? Did you pay off your home? So all that, absolutely. You should definitely have a relationship, because truly, you don't realize how important insurance is till you need it.
Yeah. And like, I'll use my car insurance aspect that I just went through. My daughter turning 16. Turned 16. And when she turned 16, my car insurance guy called. Hey, we're going to increase your car insurance. And I'm like, why? He's like, because you now have a third driver. I said, no, I don't. She doesn't have her driver's license. Oh, that's great. It's going to stay the same. I'm like, going good. But he was ready to put it just because he had that information, that I had children. I have other pieces with him. And took it for granted. Hey, age 16, child's driving. That means the insurance goes up. But in the same conversation, we talked about some of the amenities that I have at my new apartment. And he's like, oh, well, you have a full sprinkler system in there? And then all of a sudden things started going down. And the other thing, Chrissy, with your industry, sometimes bundling works out well too, staying with the same insurance agent for all your insurance. And to me, that's a little bit better, because I get to know you on a much personal level. Am I right on that? You're shaking your head a little bit.
No, not really.
Not really?
No, you could shop because, I mean, sometimes they say, bundling is much less expensive, but we've had a couple customers, several customers, I should say, that we've shopped them differently for auto, home, flood. Well, flood is always separate, but auto and home and all, and they've saved hundreds of dollars. So it all depends on your history, truly. If you have any claims, if you have any accidents, stuff like that. So I would always shop it both ways. I would always get a couple quotes.
Okay.
Definitely, no matter what. I would always get a couple quotes and shop it. But just make sure when you do shop policies, they are apples to apples. Because you could have a huge savings. It could be completely different. So it always has to be apples to apples. And then they can offer you another type of coverage, just so you could see the differences. But I would definitely shop and compare prices because it's a big market out there.
Excellent to know, because you're the first person that told me to shop it and also not bundle it. So that is really great information, and you're hearing it here. So we've got just a few minutes left. I'm going to go to each one of you, and this is what I want to know. Tell me something that you think we should have talked about today that you think is important in your industry that our listeners need to know, and then also close that with how our listeners can get a hold of you, your name, phone number, and information, so we can make sure that we have you out there. So we'll start off with you, Chrissy, on that.
I think we covered a lot. Definitely relationship. I definitely think you have to have a relationship with your insurance agent or anybody that you do a lot of business with that has protecting of your personal, property, your autos, your things that really matter. I think relationship is the key to everything. I think you covered everything, Robert. I think we did awesome. If anybody would like to find out more about insurance or have us look at their quotes or look at their policies, or get another quote, you could reach me, Chrissy Trotta, at Synergy Insurance. We have an amazing office with an unbelievable staff. My number is 954-914-9180. I also have an email address, which is my last name, Trotta, at Synergy, SYNERGYINS as in Sam.net.
Excellent.
All right. Yes, and you know what? With health insurance, the one thing I might add is just for small businesses is just consider offering health, even if it's not something that you can contribute at this time. And a lot I've met with a few businesses the last few weeks, and they're like, you know what, we're up and coming, or we're waiting maybe to that year mark so we can start just offering it to our employees. And even if you can't contribute 50% or 60%, maybe if you can do a small contribution, it would just really help with the employee retention rate. And I can also help. I do a lot of individual plans, but I can also do group plans. And even if you have a plan right now already with a health insurance, and you just takes about 15 minutes for me to review it and see if I can save you some money as an employer. So the way to reach me is, I'll give you my phone numbers, 305-793-2929, 305-793-2929, and email is info@healthagentjanet.com.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank both of you for being here today. Again, insurance is a big portion of business, and one of the things that I can say about both of our guests today is one of the other big things, and we keep on talking about it, is that they are networked out with other people. And one of the things that you heard was one, about that personal relationship and how that's going to save you money, but also the other thing is that you need to know that those individuals that are networked with other people will definitely help you out. They're not afraid to have their competition take some business away from them, because they know what they know what they believe in and their product and service so much. And I want to thank both of them, because luckily I have the opportunity to know both of these individuals very well. And you know what? It's about making sure that their clients are taken care of, and that's really what you want in an insurance provider, that you're being taken care of. One of the things that I want to switch over to before we end, I'm going to bring Marcella back on. because I'm getting more and more excited. Today we were at the chamber and we were talking about our upcoming conference, the Entrepreneurial Hour Conference. And whenever I can do a selfish plug for myself and for the organizations I belong to, I usually try to take advantage of that. So, Marcella, let's talk about what's going on and the date, place, time, and cost, and let our listeners know what to be looking forward in the upcoming weeks to month.
Hi, Robert, and thank you to our listeners for following and for tuning into this amazing radio show, and thank you, Robert, for hosting it. So, we are so excited about this upcoming conference, the Entrepreneurial Hour Conference, and we are having this conference on the future of business. The idea of this conference is to focus on how we're moving from a very individualistic way of doing business to a more less collectivistic way of doing business. This is how it works now. We work on community, and we are successful if we do business in community, as we've discussed this throughout these many radio shows that we put together for you. So the conference is taking place on October 25th. It's a Thursday, and we're having it at the Miramar Cultural Center Banquet Hall. This is in collaboration with Miramar Commissioner Riggs, and the event starts at 8:30 a.m. with coffee and registration. We have a full agenda of events, programs, panelists, presentations. We're going to have Brian Jacobs at 9:30 a.m. with the future of business. We have a panel entitled The Power of Team Building. We have the power of networking, and I know you're going to be in that panel. We have great panels. We have a lunch break. Then we're going to have Mr. Luis Capo, the president of El Dorado Furniture, who is going to share his entrepreneurial vision of success. And we're going to close with an awesome networking hour where everyone who attends is going to have the opportunity to speak and present very quickly themselves and their businesses. This is going to be at the Botanical Garden, and this is the closing of the conference.
And folks, definitely, this is not a moneymaker for Unilatina or ourselves. This is all the money raised is going towards scholarships for local students, and we really want you to be a part of it. It is really about building a community, and the only way to build a community is working with each other and getting to know each other, and then also bringing out some of the best practices out there, which Unilatina University is doing for this. And so I'm excited to be a part of it. We're just about to end the hour. Looking forward to hearing from everybody and talking to everybody again next week as we get closer to our conference. But also make sure, if you're looking for information, to reference our website. And again, see everybody and talk to everybody next week.